Hi, I'm Sewra G Kidane. I'm the director and editor of the fashion film Proclamation Punctuation, and you're watching Consider It Blacklit.
Welcome to this episode of Consider It Blacklit. I am Kim, your host, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, Consider It Blacklit highlights films, television programs, and stage plays that feature African Americans both up front and behind the scenes. We also discuss social issues as it relates to some of these programs and how they may or may not impact our communities. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you continue to tune in each week. Today, it is my pleasure to highlight a filmmaker, Sewra G Kidane. She is the producer, director, and editor of Proclamation Punctuation. It is a fashion film that centers on a woman paying homage to the love of the exclamation point. The film has been featured in various national media outlets and has been named on Forbes' list of the 12 best fashion films, along with winning several other awards, including Best Visual Moving Art, Best Short Film, and Best Glam Fashion Film. Welcome, Sewra.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's take a look at the video.
It was pointed out to me by a friend that I overuse exclamation points in my missives. Think quick, breezy memos. Nothing worse than a long, dragged-out message ending in an uninspiring, dull dot. Excitement. Exclamation. Surely you get it, don't you?
So Sewra, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you got into filmmaking?
I've loved fashion since I was little. Like, I have my godmother's Essence magazines from the 70s. Like, I have almost every Essence magazine. I love fashion magazines. I love fashion, clothes, shopping, all of that. I got into filmmaking really early as a probably like 10, 11. I just wanted to get into the film world, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I kind of wanted to do everything. I wanted to direct, produce, and write. And I went to college, I went to Emerson, and I got into editing. And that just felt more at home and more natural to me, like I've always been editing. And I just stayed as an editor. I ended up cutting commercials, national commercials, beauty commercials, things like that.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the fashion work that you did do and who you work with, and what was it like working with those particular companies?
So when I was editing, I was cutting commercials for Pantene, I was cutting commercials for CoverGirl, and then I went freelance, and then as a freelance editor, I was doing some beauty fashion work for Estee Lauder, and I ended up editing for Charlie Wan, who's a fashion film director. Oh, okay. So that was like right when I made the decision to only work on fashion-based works. I met him, and I ended up being his main editor and cutting a lot of his his personal work and his client work. So that was just a relief, like being able to work on that kind of stuff, because I was so happy doing that. So we did Herring and Herring also, which is a fashion magazine. We did work with V76 and some other hair care companies, and mostly his client work. So I was able to work on a lot of fashion-based work. So
you get enough fashion work that it can really keep you busy. You don't have to supplement it with other types of work.
I still have to supplement it. I still supplement it, but I just feel like if I'm editing and I'm not happy doing it, it's a job, you know, and I don't want to do a job. I want a career. And so it's really important for me to enjoy and be happy editing, doing the type of edit jobs that I'm happy doing that. So I was doing promos, I was doing like short documentary types of things, and it wasn't doing anything for me.
Mm-hmm. I love your jewelry. I heard that you were also a jeweler.
I was, yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So I was making waist beads. So I had been making waist beads, oh my goodness, for a long time. I started in 1999, and I'm currently on a bead sabbatical, so I can make fashion films. But I was making waist beads for a really long time, and that was really well, and I was well known. A lot of people came to me for waist beads. So I was doing a lot of intricate bead work, jewelry design, that type of thing, and then I went from beads into then precious metals and precious stones with the waist beads.
Oh, wow. So let's talk about your film.
Yes.
Proclamation Punctuation
Yes.
is your first film.
It's my first film.
Okay,
yes.
now what inspired you to make this film?
So what inspired me to make a film, period, was I went to the Fashion Film Festival to meet other fashion film directors to cut for them. And I'm watching all of these fashion films and I'm thinking to myself, I can do this. I can really do this. So I left the festival. I went there wanting to cut and work with other directors and left saying I'm going to do my own film. But when I was watching all of the films, I was like, what I need to do has to be something totally different. And so it was then after I left thinking, what can I do that can stand out and be completely different, something that no one has seen before. So then that was a small process of coming up with that concept.
Oh, but it was definitely outstanding because
Thank
it's
you.
still, when I saw it at the festival, Real Sisters of the Diaspora Film and Lecture Series, it really stuck with me because I had never seen anything like it. It was creative, it was visually beautiful and appealing, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm so excited that you are here.
And it's different, so that was the point. So
Yeah,
it stuck
yeah.
out and it was memorable.
Yep, that was the point. Proclamation point. Tell us a little bit about the filmmaking process. How long did it take you to make the film?
The film, from start to finish, like once the idea came and the script was written, it was written by Yvonne Durant. And once it was written, it was like a year trying to coordinate that. Like I'd never made my own film. I'm the last person on the ring when films come to me, you know?
Yeah, because you're the editor.
Right.
Yeah.
So by the time it gets to me, everything is like it's done. So now I'm at the top of the totem pole having to like put this together. So it was like deconstructing it backwards, like how do I put a film together, you know? But luckily, having edited short films with director friends of mine, it was like sitting in a class. So absorbing what my directors that I work with go through, I was able to apply to my film.
Right. So you had experience observing other people do it, so
Yes.
now it's time for you to apply it to this film.
Exactly. So it took a year for the first time, and I was having a hard time getting it started off the ground. So I put it away. I was like, I'm just going to put this away, not think about it. But then it kept calling me, and I was like, I have to get this done. I have to get this done. And I wasn't sure how to get it done. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have any money. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. And I saw a sign. I went on a astrology retreat, and we went hiking in a mountain. Never was in North Carolina, never been to this mountain before. We reached the first peak, and the first peak is exclamation point.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, that's a sign.
Okay.
I have to do this now. So
Okay.
I have to I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I have to do it.
Okay.
And so once I saw that and put the ball in motion, it was 1 day to shoot. We shot it in 1 day, a whole day. And then it was a year to finish.
Okay, and that was the editing and...
The editing and finishing, yeah.
Okay.
And I cut it, so I was very attached and very close to it. So it took me longer to cut it just because, you know, I felt like it was an art piece to me. And I didn't want to rush through the cut, and I wanted it to be just right and just perfect. So I took my time with it. So it was like 6 months to cut it, and well, like a year, really, because then we had to finish it. So then it was like color correct and audio, things like that.
Oh, that's great. So did you tell me that you did the set design also?
I did. I worked on the set
wow.
design. So I came up with the whole look of the set and the concept and everything. And then I had my friend Clemenza Hawkins. She's a artist, collage artist. And so she came in, she did the backdrop, and she helped put the set together and like kind of like maintain the set world.
Oh, wow. It was just amazing. So how do you describe your style as a director or editor?
I don't know yet.
Okay, let me ask you this. How do you describe your style as an editor? Because you've been doing that for a minute.
Yeah, as an editor, my editing style is intuitive. It's emotional. Like you can feel the edits, and I've been told that too. That like people can feel it, and it's a little. It's different. Like I have, with editing, there's rhythm and pace, and I've found that I like mixing my rhythms and pace. So I would have like one overall rhythm pace, and then in the middle, sandwiched in that, there's kind of like another rhythm pace. So like, double beats, if that makes sense. But it's still in sync, kind of like when you listen to Sun Ra and it sounds all crazy, and then by the middle of the song, all of that kind of comes together. So it's like that. There's elements that might work, might not work as far as pace-wise, but there's other things in there that all bring it together.
From seeing Proclamation Punctuation, it makes me want to see some of your other work. So I know you said you did some short films, or so, like if somebody wanted to see another piece of your work that you've done in the past, I mean, how could they see it? So
the second fashion film I did for international resort wear designer Ushi, and we did a fashion film for their new line. Okay. And that's on their website, so that's ushi.com.
Okay, ushi.com. We're going to take a look at ushi.com. Yes, and, definitely.
But that one's really cute. That one, everyone loves that one.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, we'll look for it. I always like to ask my guests, how do you think young people receive your work? Do you think that the messages in it resonate with them?
The comments I've gotten back after people screen them at festivals it was like that. It's something they've never seen before, and they're not expecting it. So they're happy to see it. They're happy to see someone that's relatable, that looks like them, that sounds like them, that has this attitude that they want to embark or want to become, But everyone's been very pleased, and they're just happy to see a glamorous black woman on a big screen, so that they love.
Right, right.
Which was the whole point.
Are you getting the reaction that you expected because I know sometimes when you do projects, you're not really sure how people are going to receive it.
I had no
You're so
idea.
close to it,
Yes.
so you don't know if they're going to get the message.
Yes.
Is the response what you expected?
It's beyond what I expected. I didn't know what to expect. I was scared. Like I would start to before the film was finished and cut, and I was telling people about it, and I would show, images of it. Some people were like, okay. And then I was like, wait, are people going to get it? I really wasn't sure if everyone would get it. I thought it would just go over their head. It would be too much for them, maybe too artsy, too experimental, but it's been the total opposite. Like people are just really drawn to it.
Right, and I think a lot of people can relate to it. I mean, you're talking about the exclamation point, but you're doing it with fashion, and anybody who likes to look good or likes the glamour can really relate to it. I think it's genius, actually. Yeah, it is. So what advice would you give someone who wants to kind of follow in your footsteps, maybe be in fashion or be an editor or be a filmmaker? What advice would you give?
I would say just go out and do it. Just go out and do it. If you know people already in the industry, to sit with them and talk to them and ask them questions of how you can get into it. If you don't have those type of people in your circle, I would say maybe YouTube some things, but I wouldn't wait on anything. Like my mom brought me up not to wait on something. Even as a young girl, there were things that I wanted to do. Like, for instance, I didn't have enough money allowance for my Barbie collection. So I had to get innovative on how to clothe all of my Barbies, acquire new Barbies, and my mother was not raising my allowance. And so I had to come up with ways to raise money, and I came up with creative ways to raise money for my Barbie collection. And it's that type of thing that my mother's taught me, that, don't just wait for your opportunities, create your opportunities. And with Proclamation Punctuation, it was that kind of thing of creating my own opportunity. You know, I had reached a point in my career where I felt like I hit a wall and I didn't know what to do. And my reel it's a good reel. Like, my editing reel was good, but I wasn't getting hired for whatever reason. And I didn't understand, like, you know, you have these fashion companies and they're looking for fashion editors, and I specialize in fashion, but I'm not being booked. So I had to create my own work, you know.
Something that made you stand out.
Yeah.
Something that made them say, wow.
Right.
Take a look at it. And this film does that.
Yeah. Like, I was also tired of cutting the type of work that I was cutting, and I was like, I want to cut something more creative. And I had to create a whole film to do that. And then this film has just created just an endless amount of opportunities that I would not have had just editing, you know. So I would just say to anyone trying to get into this, just create your own opportunity. Do it yourself. Like, this where we are in time right now, it's made for us to do it on our own, do it ourselves, without having to wait for higher ups or gatekeepers to allow us to do something.
To do what we want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm curious about the whole Barbie thing. How did you raise money to get additional Barbies?
Okay, so one of the things I did was I went to my neighbors and I said, I'll take your cans to the recycle, because they were just putting it in the recycle bin. And I was like, well, I'll take them for you. And every Saturday, the ones that said, yeah, we'll hold cans for you, I would go ring their bell Saturday, and I would take all of their cans, go to the supermarket, cash it in.
Oh, wow.
And this is when recycled cans were 10 cents. Now they're 5 cents.
Oh, okay.
And so I would get that. And then the other thing I did was I was also selling Christmas cards and wrapping paper. So, you know, like in school, you know.
When they had like a little fundraiser?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So there was like this company for kids to raise money. And, you know, if you sell a certain amount of items, you can choose, like, you can get a bike or a radio or something like that. So, and then it turns out that my neighbors were looking for me every year.
Oh, wow.
And they would be like, where were you? I didn't see you this year. And it was like, well, I stopped this year.
See, you could have been you could have had a successful business recycling.
Right, right. Well, I'm still a tree hugger, so.
Oh, okay. That's good. So tell us a little bit about some of the team that you assembled in putting on this film.
It was a great team. It was such a great team. That was the other thing I was excited about doing this film, because I know so many talented people that aren't doing talented work that they're destined to do, you know? So I worked with my producer, Namakula Musoki, and she helped bring on the camera crew. So that's how I met my DP, Michael Cook, and she brought on our lead actress, Miss Io, Janine Jackson.
Oh, she was fabulous.
She was
just fabulous.
Yes, she was.
Yes.
So that's how they came to the set. And then my stylist, Chandra Moore, I've worked with Chandra on short films that I've cut for director Rod Gales. And he was also the still photographer on the set. So, and then Yvonne Durant, she wrote the script, and I know her from advertising days when I was editing. So she was copywriting and I was cutting. So that's how I know her, from session work and things like that. My friend Janique Bell, she did makeup. And then I mentioned earlier, Clemenza Hawkins did the set. So I really I just reached into my network of people that I know. I was like, would you be open to doing this? Are you interested? Can you help me out? Do you think you'd want to do this? And people were like, yeah. And they were psyched to do it too.
Oh, that's good. So are you working on another project that you're using them?
Yeah. So I feel like a team is just essential. And my production company I'd call it a creative crew. So I like to work with the same people, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know?
Exactly. And if you get results, like you did with Proclamation Punctuation, stick with the same team. I totally agree. So how do we make sure as a society that we don't perpetuate unrealistic goals for beauty?
I feel one of the ways is to show real people, to show full-figured women, to show older women, to show different complexioned women, different hair textured women, just a variety of women, because we're not all this. We're definitely not all the same.
And we're all beautiful in our own
Yes,
way.
exactly. I totally feel that. Yeah, but it's just it's exposure. It's just showing the different images, because you would never know, you know.
So how many people of color do you run into that do what you do in the fashion business? Not many?
I met one other director at a fashion film festival, and he had a film too, and he was black, and his model was black too. But really, that's one of the other reasons that I got into this, because when I was looking at all of these fashion films at the festival, I could count on one hand how many black models that I saw, black subjects that I saw in the films. And I don't even know who's behind the camera, you know? So if I'm looking at a film and I'm like, well, 2 nights worth of films, like 3 hours, 4 hours long, and 2 nights each. And I can count 3, 4 films
Wow.
that had black models. And that's not even including other people of color, you know? There just wasn't a lot of color. And I was like, one, I need to make an impact as far as like a different film, but 2, I need to see myself reflected in a beautiful, fashionable way. And I did not see that at all. I saw like fetished versions of myself on screen.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they don't put more of us in there. We spice things up.
I mean, we
You
sell
know?
magazines. We sell them. I had posted on Instagram that with the whole success of Black Planet, and I said that, you know, Vogue Italia, when it came out with the Black Vogue edition, they had to reprint that issue 3 times.
Wow.
And it was nothing but black models in the magazine and on the cover. And if you have to, an international magazine, if you have to print a magazine 3 times because it keeps selling out,
Right.
maybe you should put more black people.
Exactly. What
in your
does that tell you?
What does that tell you?
Yeah,
But that's not enough.
Yeah.
That's
They're
not
not
enough.
getting the message.
No.
I don't get it.
It's like my dollar, regardless if you get my dollar, it's not good enough, you know? So you can sell this magazine, make millions of dollars, but that's not the bottom line for you, because now you don't want to be labeled as the black magazine or
Right,
whatever their reason is.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about who your inspirations were.
My mom is a huge inspiration style-wise. I come from some like really stylish people.
Oh, okay.
But celebrity-wise, like I'm a Miss Boss Ross disciple.
Oh, so am I. Bow down to the queen.
Yes. So everything is about, you know, it's kind of like, what would Miss Ross do? How would the boss do this? Like, so it's like that's my bubble world fashion-wise. But everything pretty much inspires me. And I know that's like very generic or just general, but.
No, it makes sense to me because you're a very creative person. You're a very visual person. So you probably see the beauty or the, you know, the uniqueness in everything that you look at. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So, like when I was beading, nature was my inspiration. Just seeing how the trees naturally change and how they go in between color. And I would look at nature's color pattern to do my beadwork, to pick out my color pattern. And so like anything, I could look at an advertisement, I could look at a picture, I could hear a song, I could, one fashion film I did was based off of a lyric in a rap.
Oh, wow.
And that's how it sparked an idea. So a lot of different things inspire me and just get the gears turning creatively for me.
Oh, that's great. Do you still do beading?
I don't now. My eyes, just my government age eyes just can't handle it anymore. And I feel like I'm not there right now to bead. I feel like I did it for almost like 15, 16 years.
Well, you don't have any inventory. I feel like I want everything that you touch.
And I just feel like I've almost created everything I could possibly think of to create. I'm also one of those people that I don't like to repeat patterns, or I don't like to repeat things that I did. Even if it was like 10 years ago, you know, that I did it, I still feel like, oh my goodness, I can't come up with something more original, even though it's my own work. But that's just, you know, that's just that.
Continuously evolving.
Yes.
So, like I told you guys, I absolutely love her film, Proclamation Punctuation. So if other people wanted to see the film, how could they do it?
They can go to proclamationpunctuation.com, and you can look at everything about the film, read about the crew, see pictures behind the scenes, see the wardrobe images, and there's also a link to rent the film.
So what's next for you?
Oh my goodness. It's funny you say that. Next week, I'm about to shoot my 7th fashion film.
Oh, wow.
It's my 7th or 8th. I believe it's my 7th.
Now, this is a film somebody else is doing, or this is your own film?
This is my film.
Oh, wow.
This is my fashion film.
Okay.
Yeah, and within the 2 years of doing Proclamation Punctuation, I've done 6 or 7 more films.
Oh, wow.
So within the 2 years, like I am like on my Tupac schedule.
Oh, wow. That's great. So how would people see the other films?
They're not out yet.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Ushi is out.
Okay.
Proclamation Punctuation you can rent.
Okay.
And then I did a art piece, like a socially conscious art piece for High Side magazine.
Okay.
And that should be coming out in the spring. I'm really excited about that one because it's political. So it's like I like having layers in my work where you can get a surface message, but you can peel it back and then dig and go down the rabbit hole with my work. And I really like that. So this piece is very layered like that. And then I did my follow-up fashion film, As Above, which is in post right now. And then 3 films that I just finished September, November, and now next week. So.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on a roll.
Got doors to bang down, and open up and walk through.
Right, exactly. And then as you do that, you'll open it up for other people.
Yes.
That's great. So we encourage our audience to check out Sewra G Kidane and her film, Proclamation Punctuation. Any closing remarks?
Thank you again for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Please watch the film and enjoy it, and make a point of it so you don't be a dull dot. To watch it and share it with your friends when you see it, and feel free to follow me online so you can see the other works that I'm doing, that I'm working on.
Okay, so we're going to put on the screen her social media information so you can follow her. And until next week, consider yourself Blacklit. Thank you.